Welcome back to Graphic Design and Illustration using Adobe Illustrator. If you haven't already, make sure you download this resource. And don't forget that you can click on any one of these selections to go to the certain topic. Module 2, Fundamentals of Composition or the Principles of Design. We're going to go over the principles of design, the elements of design, brand identity, commission work when you are freelancing, and we're also going to apply these principles and elements to create a logo in Adobe Illustrator. Here are some of your assignments listed here, and as always, if you need help, make sure you email me. After you complete this model, you should have a clear understanding of the following: the design principles, the 7 design elements, Gestalt Principles, brand identity, commission, supplemental design, layout design, and the creation of basic shapes using Illustrator. Basis of composition. Composition refers to the visual structure and organization of elements within a design. It concerns process of combining distinct parts or elements to a form or a whole. Good composition is an essential element of all art forms, graphics or otherwise, and should be considered the foundation of visual communication. Designers organize images and text within their own shape, size, colors, and texture in many different medias and in a wide range of formats. So we're going to take a look at figure 1. Figure 1 is a image of a statue, and it's a woman, and she is playing a harp in a garden. In this picture, I want you to think about all the types of design elements that you can find, and also all the types of design principles. And we will come back to this image a little later. Golden rectangle. The golden rectangle are the rectangles in the golden ratio. You can see it here, 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 and here. And here is a basic formula for the golden rectangle, how it's divided in the golden ratio. And it's also seen here. Each time each square is taken from a ratio, a smaller rectangle remains as a proportion as the original. The spiral here is known as the golden ratio. It can be used to create proportional and harmonious composition, and we will talk about the golden ratio later on in this presentation. But the main thing that you need to know about the golden rectangle is that it is the rectangles in the golden ratio, and it was created based off the golden ratio. Principles of design. The principles of design are guidelines that are followed to create effective and attractive visual compositions in your artwork. Here are the 7 listed here. We have balance, contrast, emphasis, movement, repetition or pattern, proportion, unity or harmony. And we will talk about each of these individually with examples later on in this presentation. Elements of design. Elements of design are the guidelines that are followed to create effective and attractive visual compositions in your artwork. Please do not get these confused with the principles of design. They are completely different, and they should not be used interchangeably under circumstances. Here are the 7 main elements of design. We have line, shape, form, color, texture, space, and value. The differences between the elements and principles of design is that the elements serve as the fundamental building blocks of the composition, while the principles dictates how those elements are used in your artwork. And we will talk about each of these individually later on in this presentation. Gestalt Principles. And I do have a little joke for you. So whenever I hear the word Gaston, I always say it like the little rat says it on Ratatouille. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check that movie out. So I think the human person that the little rat was with, who wants to be a chef, his father name was Gaston. So whenever I hear the word or see the word Gaston, I always say how they say it in the movie because it's too funny. So I just want to say that. So whenever I say the word Gaston, just know that's what I'm thinking about. Okay, let's get back on task. I'm gonna get it together. So the principles are the laws of human perception that describe how humans group similar elements, recognize patterns, and simplify complex images when we perceive objects. Now here are a list of the principles and the rules. There are a lot. We're not going to go over all of them. We're only going to go over the basic ones. And also, this is because it intertwines with the principles of design and also the elements of design. Symmetrical and asymmetrical. The concept of symmetrical design, also known as symmetrical balance, is characterized by the mirroring of elements on either side of your artwork. So if you were to fold figure 4 in half, both of the elements of the butterfly will be on each side. And asymmetrical is the exact opposite. It lacks any form of symmetry. So take figure 5. If you were to fold this image in half, none of the elements would be the exact same on the other side. Brand identity. We briefly talked about brand identity in Module 1, and we talked about how your brand identity sets you apart from other brands and makes your brand more identifiable to your customers. It can include your color schemes, how your color schemes are in your designs itself, using different principles of designs and elements of design, and your logo. It can go in your brand mission statement as well. And also how you market your brand to your customers. Create your brand identity. Design layout principles. The principles of design layout are rooted in the fundamental principles of design and the elements of design, with a heightened emphasis on the usage of grids, margins, and structural organization. You will most likely see grid in web design. So whenever you have your wireframes or your prototypes, you will most likely be using a grid system. They have different grid system. I think there are 3 to be exact that you can use in your design layout. And you can also see your grid layouts in publication design. So if you have a magazine, you will be using a grid system for great compositions of your articles. And in figure 6, it shows you a picture of the grid system. Golden ratio. The golden ratio, often symbolized by the Greek letter pi or phi, is a mathematical constant approximately equal to 1.618. It is known by other several names such as a divine proportion, the golden number, or the golden proportion. In figure 7, you see Mona Lisa with an overlay of the golden ratio. Golden ratio in art. Numerous of artists employ the golden ratio to their artwork because it is seen as a standard of beauty. It has been seen in nature, paintings, and artwork throughout history. However, we're going to stick with artwork. We don't want to get in a long debate about the golden ratio in nature. However, using the golden ratio in your artwork is not a requirement. The golden ratio is often seen as the divine proportion for composition. However, it does not guarantee that you will have a successful design. It's basically a guideline to aid you in achieving balance and unity in your artwork. Rules of third. The rule of thirds said that most compositions become more dramatic when divided into thirds vertically or horizontally, with the most important elements placed within those thirds. Dividing the composition in half will halt the closer and keep the viewer's eyes centered at the halfway point, especially if the object is placed in the exact center point, as seen in Figure 9. In Figure 9, there is an overlay of the rules of thirds. Here. In this image, where does your eyes focus? My eyes focus directly on the center lines of the row here. And if we were to fold this image, fold it here, in here, our eye will be focused on the center of this row here. As well as Figure 10. Figure 10 does not have the overlay of the rules of third. However, you can see it in the image. This image is of a woman and her child sitting on a bench in front of a bayou. So let's imagine that the rule of thirds overlay is over this picture as well. Here, 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 and I'll say about here. So when you look at this image, where does your eyes focus? It focuses directly on the mother and the child. Balance. Balance is the arrangement of elements of art and their interplay in composition. It's about how these elements harmonize with each other to achieve a sense of stability. Balance is essential to effective composition in artwork. It fosters harmony and unity and ensures visual stability. Contrast. Contrast is the obvious differences in elements in a composition. It can be size, color, and weight. A great example of this is the peace sign, which is right here, and also in Figure 13. In this image, it is showing an illusion of contrast between three faces in black and white. Can you see all three faces? Emphasis. The role of emphasis is to underscore the crucial piece of information, ensuring that the audience comprehends the main points. It serves as a focal point that is established in the design. It's usually a striking element that stands out from the rest of the design. In Figure 14, it is the emphasis on the large sharp teeth of the snake. And in Figure 15, it is the entrance of the house. Using the rules of third, you will see that the focal point is exactly the entrance of the home. Even though the dragon is sitting on top of the house, your eyes directly focus towards the entrance of the home. Emphasis can be realized using different design elements and principles such as color, contrast, lines, shapes, and typography. For example, if you change the color of a unique stick, you can establish a focal point in that design. Movement. Movement can be strategically employed to draw in the viewer's attention to a specific element or focal point of the design. Looking at Figure 16, you can see the image has motion added to draw in the viewers within the center of the design. Here, in this image, it looks like the lines are moving up and down from the center. In Figure 17 is a different type of movement. It's based on kinetic movement. Using a tree with wheels, these lines indicate that the wheels are falling down from the tree. As you can see, the wheels are at the base of the tree, going towards the tree. Repetition and pattern. Repetition and pattern is used interchangeably when you're talking about the principle of design. However, they are the same thing. Repetition and pattern in design is when the artist repeats the same elements such as form, color, or shape, etc. many times in the artwork. It can give a sense of rhythm, beauty, or appeasement, or even emphasis in expression within the artwork. So let's take a look at figure 18. In figure 18, you can see a repetition of different elements in this art, or a pattern. Proportion. Proportion is how big or how small different elements are in a design. This matters because it can change how a design looks and feels. It can create a sense of balance and focus, and also creates harmony and mood within the design. As seen in figure 19, this displays different proportions using shapes. Also seen in figure 20. Unity and harmony are one of those terms again that are used interchangeably when you're talking about the principles of design. Unity serves to unify the appearance of space, imparting a sense of completeness and wholeness, while harmony is about how all the elements of design collaborate to form a pleasing and balance of the arrangements of elements within the art. Figure and ground. Now we're going to get into the Gestalt principles. A form is perceived in a connection with the space that it inhabits, and any other forms presents within the same context. It refers to as figure and ground relationship, where the figure denotes any object within a specific space, and the ground signify a backdrop or space where the object is observed. A great example of this is the Rubin vase, seen in figure 22. The negative space is the vase, and the white space or the positive space is seen as two figures. Law of closure. The law of closure is one of Gestalt's principles. Gestalt. It was developed in the early 20th century. I'm trying to get it together, y'all. Gestalt, Gestalt. The term Gestalt means shape or form in German. According to this principle, when we encounter incomplete shapes or objects, our mind tends to perceive them as a whole, even though there are hidden or missing parts, as seen in figure 23. In this image is of a square showing the law of closure. The square is not completed. However, our minds can perceive it as being whole. Photograph. Photographing is the art and the practice of capturing images using photosensitive material and digital sensors. We all do this when we take out our phones and take pictures of ourselves, our loved ones, places that we go, events that we've been to, or just objects. This is a way to express our creativities or document our experiences or just communicate our ideas. Figure 24 is an image of Miles Davis. If you do not know the backstory of this image, I implore you to go look it up because this is going to be used as a case study in a later model. Illustrations. Illustrations refer to creating visual content through drawing, sketches, paintings, or other forms of visual representation. It can take various forms like drawings, drawn by hands, using the traditional drawing tools, sketches, rough preliminary drawings that captures ideas or concepts, artworks in books, magazines, or prints, or even digital art using various programs like Adobe Illustrator. Commission. Commission is basically when someone or yourself arranges for another person to do a specific piece of work for you. It involves requesting or hiring someone to create or perform a task on your behalf, whether it's writing, creating art, or performing a specialized piece, project, or work. It's very important that when you are commissioning someone to work for you or vice versa, that you have a schedule to discuss your expectations of the specific requirements that you are requesting for your work. It's very essential to know your worth when you are setting up prices for commission work. And it's also very important for you to know your market value for services that you are employing. Also need to take into consideration the time it will take you to do these services. So you can make sure that your pricing reflect how much time and effort you're going to put into these designs. Having a contract in place protects you and your client. The contract should align the project scope, deliverables, the payment terms, deadlines, and any other revisions and additional costs with revisions. You should keep all communication organized. You can use different kinds of tools for this. You can use emails. You can create folders in your emails, tabs, printouts, folders, binders. You need to keep a track of all communication approvals and changes by the client, as well as deadline changes as well. Having a clear communications helps maintain expectations and avoid scope creep. And this occurs when a project completion requirements expand beyond the initial planned project scope. Also, this helps you handle payments and discuss how payments will be paid out to you or vice versa, and also milestones payments, or will the payment be upon completion of the project. Also, you want to have a clear payment plan if that's what you want to do, and you also want to have this information set in stone and outlined in detail when you're making out these contracts to avoid any kind of confusion. Now we're going to get into some fundamentals. First, we have print design. Print design is a specialized area of graphic design that focuses on creating visual material specifically for print format. This can include direct printing, digital printing press, film conversion, half toning, color separation, resolution and screen frequency, duplex printing, and transparent objects. Interactive design. Interactive design is a design of interactive products and services in which designers' focus goes beyond the item in development to include ways the users will interact with it. As seen in Figure 26, this is the image displaying interactive design where the user is clicking on the keyboard and it is displaying a website. Environmental design. Environmental design involves considering the environment context when developing plans, policies, buildings, or products. The goal is to create spaces that enhance the natural, social, cultural, and physical environment of specific areas, as seen in Figure 27. In Figure 27, it is displaying an environmental design using an eco-friendly home surrounded by trees, natural spring pools, gardens, and windmills on top of the house here. Form, shape, and line. Form refers to 3D dimensional aspects of an object, providing it with depth, volume, and mass. 3D shape, for example. Shape is a two-dimensional, self-contained form. Use of shape can help organize the composition of a design and guide the viewer towards its desired focal point. An example of this would be using 2D shapes, as seen here. Line is one of the basic elements of design. Lines connect any two dots and can invoke various moods based on their texture, direction, look, and weight. An example of this would be this line here. Also seen in Figure 28. This image is displaying 2D and 3D shapes and lines. Texture. Texture in design refers to the visual quality or feel of the surface. It significantly impacts how graphic designs are perceived. In Figure 29, it displays colorful abstract texture painting of portals. The painting is a mixture of rough and smooth brushstrokes. Space and value. The value in art refers to the lightness and darkness of colors or tones used in artwork. As seen in Figure 30, this image is displaying value in artwork. As you can see, this side displays lightness, while this side is displaying darkness or shadow in the image. Space refers to the area surrounded within or between various components in a composition. Color. In design, color holds a central position, possessing great strength and expressivity. It can stir emotions, set atmospheres, and transmit information. The color wheel acts as an essential tool aiding us in understanding the complex interconnections among colors, as seen in Figure 30. In this image, it is showing a splash of colors. Thank you so much for watching this week's presentation. For a more deeper understanding of this week's subject topic, I recommend you going to the resources in Module 2, which can be found in the Resource tab. Make use of the interactive flip cards I have made for you for the key terms. Also, to evaluate your comprehension of the material, please use a Test Your Knowledge quiz. I will also implore you to watch and review the side quest instructional videos for this module as well. Thank you so much, you guys, and I will see you next week or in the next module.